Welcome to Group 19's app demo for our application My Book List, which is written in Xamarin Forms. I'll be demoing it on the Android emulator today. Our 7 features are database, so data permanence and storage and pulling data from the database. Security, so this login screen here, which I'll demonstrate very, very shortly. And we also have the ability to phone from the app, the ability to email from the app. We have an offline mode, so some features are disabled if there's no connection. And we also have data binding throughout the app and string validation, or data entry validation as we're calling it. So in this screen, if you attempt to enter a blank password in, it will not let you. Now my username is group19, but if I do this and enter my password in, it will prevent me from logging in. So if I enter in my correct username and password, it logs me in. Now each of these screens here as a separate function. So we'll add a couple of books. I've already got a few in the database from previous entry session. So we'll enter in random fiction book because I can't think of a title. Random author, ISBN 123, and we'll go fiction. If we hit save, the database is stored. The database stores the book. Now, if any of these fields are blank, the database will actually prevent you from storing the book. Now, we have an add shop section here as well. So we'll go the name of, say, a shop. We'll go Angus and Robinson Melb. And for argument's sake, I won't enter a contact email in. So in this, these 3 fields are validated to be not allowed to be blank, and if no email is supplied here, we have essentially a default string which says email address not supplied. So I've hit save now. We'll see that this is stored. Okay. Now I'll actually stop the app temporarily. So this will demonstrate our data permanence as well as our security. And as you can see from those screens, we have validation throughout the app for user entry. So when we reopen the app, we'll actually be able to see the last 2 entries as well as some previous entries in our list views, and we'll be able to access those list views and actually access the individual items. Now, as far as cross-platform capabilities go, there were a couple of requirements for the implementing the database interface. There's a specific helper file needed for each of the separate platforms here. So as you can see, this is our Android platform helper, and our iOS platform helper is slightly different. So it's just an assembly with a dependency on each file. The reason we need this is because the path for each of the platforms is slightly different. It's one of the things that is restricted to be only native, so there's no cross-platform way to do that. All right, I'll just minimize them so we can have a little bit more of a cleaner solution. I'll just jump to our database selection here. Now we have bound the database tables to different observable collections, and we'll be able to see very shortly that I actually set up data binding within our list view, so that's our data binding feature. So I'll just jump back to the emulator and log back in. All right, if I click unlock app, if I go search my books, we can see a list here. So this is all bound, the way this is done. If I just have a look here, so I'll just jump to the XAML file. As you can see here, we've got a binding to the shop name and the address for the shop class. Now, so I realize I'm looking at the book screen, so I'll just demonstrate that we can actually access individual books. So as you can see, we've got we've got our book class entered in here. Have a look at the one that we selected last time. Now this button has not been implemented, so I won't test that now. but that's our data access. So if I go to show my shop list, this is where we'll see a couple more features. Now, if I click on, I believe this one has an email. Okay, cool. So if I click call, the number is taken from the class, and we actually go back to the dial screen. So that's what that does. I'll just restart the app now, and I'll take you through the email and show you how the offline mode works. Now, with offline mode, because of the configuration of this particular emulator, I will not be able to demonstrate it, but I can explain how it works and the package that we used to implement it. So we've used a package called xam.plugins.connectivity. And what that does is it allows you to check the connectivity across both platforms of iOS and Android. So there's no need to refer to the native settings. It's a very easy way of doing it. Now, what our feature does for offline is it actually just prevents you from opening the email section. I felt that it was better to deal with this through validation in the back end rather than have UI elements change. In this scenario, what happens is if there is no internet connection, a message is displayed saying you can't send an email, you don't have an internet connection. So super, super simple, but less clunky than having massive UI changes. So let's have a look. Group 19, project 2, app. Okay, so if I jump to here, because I know this one has an email address, actually, I'll just quickly demonstrate as well. So that's what happens when you don't provide an email address. So I won't open this app because my emulator does not do well. But when you click here, it allows you to send an email. Opens the app. So I'll quickly take you through the functionality for the offline mode. It's a super, super simple bool check. So cross-connectivity.current.is connected, so it checks the connection status for the internet connection. If it's not there, it jumps to this display alert. If not, we go through there so we can actually see that I haven't set up my Gmail account on here. But it takes that email address and sends an email from the bound shop email.txt. And that is our application demo. Thank you for watching.